Hello, Space Junkies, and welcome to a very special episode of What a Piece of Junk. And now, we're going to hit you with our very special theme music. Just kidding, it's the regular theme music. But we know you guys love it. Yes, it is I, your amiable host, Scott Botman, coming to you live in living color. Or, if you're listening to this later, coming to you recorded in living color. But I am not alone aboard the Drunken Gungan. With me, as always, are my amiable co-hosts, Mr. Nathan Miracle and Mr. Derek Marsh. Hi, guys.
We made it!
You did! I am more than impressed.
It's finally here, and we were able to get the Drunken Gungan working.
Yes. Nathan, did you have a good holiday season, my brother?
Oh, I had a great holiday season, and I am taking this whole week off in honor of the Book of Boba Fett. So it's a great week here.
Man, now that's dedication. I will admit that I have not taken time off just for the Book of Boba Fett. But we are not alone in the Drunken Gunga tonight. We also have Fandom Podcast Network alum and co-founder Kyle Wagner. Kyle's only going to be briefly visible because he's actually putting on yet another hat tonight to be our studio engineer, producer extraordinaire. I don't know, Kyle, what should I call you now?
Right now you call me producer and boss because I'm in charge. I've got all control all over the buttons and I can kick any of you out anytime I want because, you know, I just climbed out of the Sarlacc pit and I'm covered in Sarlacc goo. So if one of you can actually, you know, give me a good thing to get Sarlacc out of cloth, I'd really appreciate it. A Mandalorian armor too. It would be helpful.
Hey, look, if
there's
you need
some Twi'leks over there shining helmets.
If you need to ask somebody in the FPN about cleaning Mandalorian armor, that guy is none other than the Raider nerd himself, Kevin Reitzel, who is also joining us for this live episode. Kevin, how's it going?
It's going great. I'm excited to be here, guys. Can you do me a big solid though? Can you go grab my friend Velkin Tazeri out of that gullet and maybe have him follow Fett up through it? That would be great.
So we have a little section about trivia for later in the broadcast, and Kevin is going to bring up that Star Wars character again because it's the greatest piece of Star Wars trivia that anyone on our network has to share. I'm not going to ruin it. Spoilers for that particular Star Wars character. Oh, man. It is so great to be podcasting with you guys, and so great to have all of our friends on YouTube joining us live. If you're not live watching with us tonight and you're listening to us on a recording, don't worry. We're going to talk about even specific moments when we start the broadcast of the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land, so that you can start play exactly at the same time that we do and keep up with us as we ramble on. I mean, as we offer expert commentary, right, Derek?
That's right. And I see there's a couple of people in the chat. So good. Welcome, guys. So appreciate folks joining us.
Yeah, totally. Well, it wouldn't be an episode of What a Piece of Junk if we didn't do our normal beginning segment, which is Derek's favorite part of the show, and that is talking about what Star Wars t-shirts we are wearing this week. Now, I don't know about the rest of y'all out there listening, but I definitely got some Star Wars merch for Christmas. So anybody out there who also got Star Wars merch, please feel free to tweet us about it or send me an email. Maybe we'll mention it on the show if we think you guys got one of the coolest Star Wars pieces of merch as a present. So, yeah, let's kick things off in the usual way. Derek, it looks like you are definitely in a Boba Fett state of mind with your... Oh, my gosh, Kevin. Is that actual Slave One?
Yes, it is. It's not Boba Fett Starship. It is Slave One, and that was under the tree this year.
And it is the right scale for classic Kenner figures, right?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
yes,
my gosh, that's amazing.
Very cool.
I'm so glad to see it has the classic double silvered border around the entire logo there.
Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous.
Yeah. All right, Derek. What you got on for our T-shirt segment there, Chief?
So yeah, so I think I've talked about this before, and I wore it actually a couple of Halloweens ago. But it's the Boba Fett hoodie with the actual headpiece. I'm not doing it because it is super hot after wearing it. But it's it's the hood that actually, since that's hoodie, right? But it's the hoodie that zips up and it has the helmet and the Mandalorian armor of Boba Fett. So obviously, the past couple of years, folks might have seen something similar to this with the Mandalorian version with Din Djarin's uniform version of it. That's made a good push. But now I can say I've had this longer and it's more original. And yeah, the man himself, Boba Fett. So very cool. So, and actually underneath this too, then I also have a What a Piece of Junk T-shirt, which we'll talk about where you could pick one of those up.
Outstanding. Nathan, what you got on for a Star Wars T-shirt this episode?
All right. Well, I've got on an oldie but a goodie. This is my C-3PO Stay Golden T-shirt because, as we know, everyone needs a protocol droid, especially when you're talking to an Oculus. But now I can actually understand various foreign languages in these shows. Sort of. Don't test me on that.
All right. Well, there might be a quiz later, and we will have to find our own protocol droid. Kevin, what are you wearing for some Star Wars threads other than that epic cap that you have on?
I'm sporting the Mythosaur here, guys. I got the Mythosaur hat, Mando armor, and then I've got the sweatshirt, the Mythosaur on it too. Really proud of this one, and this one kind of means a lot to me. I took it with me when I went to go to the Star Wars celebration in London back in 2016.
Wow!
And I was wearing it when I first met my fiance.
Oh, that's just awesome. And it looks really cool on you too. Yeah, good job. Good job.
I love it.
Kyle, I'll ask you to zoom in on yourself so we can see what you have on there.
Since I'm running technical, I am wearing my AT-AT technical blueprint shirt that I am a big fan of. This is one of my favorite Star Wars vehicles. So I've had this for a while, but I love it and it makes me happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, and it is an iconic Star Wars vehicle. You see that, it's Star Wars.
Now, I have to ask you, you called it an AT-AT. Do you prefer that pronunciation over at? Or do you have a preference?
It doesn't matter. Either way works for me. I just felt AT-AT thing going on tonight. So, hey, real quick too, Scott, I'm just going to steal a little thunder here just for all the listeners out there. We are planning to start the live stream at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So.
That's right. So out there, pop your popcorn, get ready, and strap yourselves in. And we are anxious to celebrate the launch of the next chapter of the Star Wars saga with all of you folks out there on YouTube. But before we do that, Derek, let folks know where they can get a cool Fandom Podcast Network T-shirt like the one that you have on under your hoodie there.
Yeah, so we've talked about we use tpublic.com. You could head on over there and get a cool T-shirt, but not just T-shirts for What a Piece of Junk. Any of the Fandom Podcast Network shows that are on the Fandom Podcast Network, but also cool merchandise, right? So we can do hoodies, mouse pads. They still actually have masks out there. Now they're doing some winter clothes, so you can get coats and hats and stuff I've seen before. And they run a lot of times cool stuff on sale. So, obviously right now they've had some Christmas sale pushes I've seen. And if you are like me and you get bombarded on Facebook and they know everything that you do, right? So if you just visit the website a couple of times, next thing you know, you're going to get some ads on your Facebook for discounts. So do the cheat code and support us with whatever, you want to get, helps keep the Drunken Gungan afloat, which we need because we need all the repairs. Because it's being held to piece together because it's what a piece of junk, right?
It runs mostly on baling wire, duct tape, and very wet Wookiee fur. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you, Nathan?
Nothing, absolutely nothing. But I've been avoiding all the Trandoshans that I've seen so far.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I can't wait till we get to that scene. I want to see your personal anguish.
It's so nice to know that the minimal funds we give you to run this podcast are being put to such good use, right, Kevin?
I have no idea.
Guy knows how to spend some galactic credits, that's for sure.
I have no idea where those funds would end up or why we visit various cantinas and bars on every
Mhm.
episode of the podcast.
By the way,
I
Scott, I
forgot
shared a story today where you introduced me to Cheerwine while we went to go see Pixels at the theater, and they had it on tap.
Yep, and you shut down that tap because you went back and got refills over and over. It was epic. Yeah, man, Pixels. Geez, that was a while ago.
Somebody's got
Yeah.
an addiction to cheerwine, huh?
I
Good
claim
stuff.
no responsibility for introducing Kevin to his latest habit. Actually, it's probably not the latest one at this point.
No, that's been a while.
Yeah. Well, as we're waiting a few more minutes to get ready to launch the live show at 8:15 Eastern or 5:15 Pacific. Thanks for jumping in from California, Kevin. You're the man. Other than Kevin's Slave One, did you guys get any cool Star Wars merch for Christmas? Derek, I hear there may be some Legos hanging around your man cave there.
Yeah, well, these are just some of the Star Wars gifts I got. I got a few more, but I didn't want to, flood the market with everything today of showing you guys. So yeah, so I got the Darth Vader helmet bust for Legos.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
it's-
Back it up just a little bit there
Oh,
so we can
there we
see the
go.
whole thing. Yeah, that's awesome. Now, how many pieces is it? Does it say on the box?
It is 834 pieces on this one.
834 pieces. Okay, all right.
And then I got the man, the myth, the legend, Boba Fett himself. Same thing with
Yeah.
his helmet. But this one's only 625. So
Okay.
he must not have as many parts as Vader.
Yeah, that would make sense because he doesn't have the same kind of curvature to his
Yeah,
to the top of his
Vader's
dome
got those
there.
flaps there, right? The side flaps. So on
Yeah.
his helmet. So, but anyways, yeah. So I'll be putting those together eventually here. So, oh, we got a couple pretty people just joined. We got the mullet machete himself, Adam O'Brien. Welcome, Adam.
Yes. Well, Kevin, Adam beats you on furthest time zone now because technically
This
he's
is
he's
true.
watching from the future.
I was gonna say he's for the future.
Molchetti don't YouTube.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Molchetti don't live stream. What are we talking about here?
That's outstanding. Adam, so great to have you and so great to listen to you on the Fandom Podcast Network. And so great to have all the other folks that are watching with us too. It's always an experiment. We at the Fandom Podcast Network are eager to try out new things. So this is our first of hopefully what will be many live events in the future, right, Kyle?
That's the plan here. This is our first live using StreamYard. We recorded a few things that might get posted up on the YouTube channel a little bit later, but this is our first official live YouTube event using StreamYard, and what a big one it is. We've got Book of Boba Fett, and it's a big day. Star Wars fans are excited across the world, apparently, if you follow social media.
Yeah, it's outstanding. And if you're listening to this after the fact, I'm sure by now there's been some announcement about records set for a number of streams on Disney Plus or what have you, because The Mandalorian was an excellent introduction to the idea of Star Wars streaming. But I think with a big marquee original trilogy character like Boba Fett, you're going to have even more interest in this particular project. And we know that it was inspired by, if not directly copied from, the idea of a Boba Fett movie that Josh Trank was going to be working on several years ago, but the project got scrapped for whatever reason, and so now it has found new life as a streaming series. And for me, I felt like it was definitely worth the wait. I was quite pleased with the chapter 1 there. We'll wait and see if everything else, all the other chapters, live up to the standard that was set by the premiere tonight.
Well,
Yes.
Scott, we are at 8:14 p.m. So, listeners, if you are going to watch us, it just hit 8:15. So I think it's time to count everybody in so we can start watching the Book of Boba Fett.
All right, cool. So Nathan, Derek, Kevin, and I are going to try and do one of these things as a group watch on Disney Plus. If y'all haven't tried that yet out there in YouTube land, it's a pretty cool way to make sure that everybody, although they're in different locations, is watching at the same time, and it gives you up to 6 of your friends can join you on the stream. So I am going to go ahead and hit the start button for Chapter 1 in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we are now starting the stream on Disney Plus as soon as all of our devices sync up. Yep, we are at the Disney Plus logo with the vaguely Nintendo Switch sound effect of the click over there. I have to say, I'm a little disappointed the Lucasfilm logo at the start didn't have the Boba Fett armor paint job like it had in that one trailer. I really
Yeah.
thought they were going to go for that on every
Yeah.
episode of the Book of Boba Fett.
That would have been cool.
And one of the things y'all might want to do out there if you're listening along after the fact is have the stream going in one window and then have Book of Boba Fett going in another, but with the subtitles on and the sound off. Because unless you want to get like a full Mystery Science Theater 3000 effect, then that'd probably be easier.
I love these opening scenes of the actual palace. I love being able to see the Narshada wind chimes up there in the entrance.
Yeah, definitely a different throne than the one that Jabba sat on. That throne would not have held his slugliness.
Okay.
Guys, are we sure
Kevin,
that's
did you
not
get
Sigourney Weaver
alien-
in there?
I was going to say, did you guys get alien vibes in that one?
Yeah, it's either Bacta or suspended animation or both. Actually, the biggest vibe I got from this scene was how much Boba Fett's life mimics Vader's at this point, because they both have to hang out in those tanks when they're sort of not in their armor.
Oh, yeah.
And I was very much blown away by the Camino scenes and the Attack of the Clones scenes with young Boba. I wasn't expecting to see both of these things in the first episode.
It does give us a little bit of a reminder of who this character is, especially for those of us who have only seen the movies. I say us.
Here we go.
Yep.
Falcon?
Now,
Falcon?
which one of us was the one that said they wanted the first scene to be Boba Fett's hand punching out of the Sarlacc? I think that was Derek.
That
You
was
pretty
Derek,
much
yeah.
got your wish, almost, the first scene.
Yeah. Well, and this reminds me so much of the comic book, too.
Yes. My son Matthew noted that so many people expected Boba Fett to just hit the jetpack and fly out. I'm glad to see they kept with the idea that it was too damaged to function.
But Kevin and Kyle, are we still getting aliens vibes here?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I said, that gunk is hard to get out of armor. So Kevin, after the show, if you've got some Mando spot remover or something like that, you know.
Lee, by the way, said he wanted to give a shout out to the real Captain Rex for him.
So that stormtrooper that was down there, how long has he been down there?
For real, I also was like, oh, there's the hand coming out of the desert. So good. I also was
Zombie
like,
Boba Fett.
why is there a stormtrooper in that gullet? There were no stormtroopers at the battle at the beginning of Return of the Jedi. Where'd that guy come from? Was he looking for droids in all the wrong places?
Well, and to be fair, you have to remember, I mean, they did say that it would take 1,000 years to digest, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, although the stomach acids had started to work in on that armor. So Boba Fett's probably not going to be looking too good right now.
Oh, yeah, he's got to be feeling it too.
Then there's these stinky little guys who just come up and just help themselves too.
well, wouldn't be a Tatooine visit if there were no sand crawlers.
Well, yeah.
And I'm glad to see
Yeah.
that the original Jawa eyes are here. So we don't
Yes.
get confused about off-world Jawa versus Tatooine
Jawas
Jawa.
are jerks.
They are.
But this does connect to The Mandalorian when Cobb Vanth says that he got this armor from Jawas. This explains how he got how the Jawas got the armor, because we knew that they did not take down Boba Fett in his prime.
No, definitely not. Oh, rifle butt to the face.
Gun butt.
Yep. It's like, yes, it's only an ion blaster and it doesn't work on people, but you know what does work on people? Blunt force trauma, baby. Whack. And then we see a cut to, I'm sorry, I can't hold back the MST3K in this scene, guys. Sandstorm. That's a deep cut for you.
So when's Beetlejuice showing up?
I'm digging the different look of these Tuscan Raiders.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cloaks are a variety of colors, and
They got a kind of a black theme going on.
Yeah, I have a question, guys. You think they could have spared some SPF 50 for Boba here? I mean,
no, the Tuscan Raiders don't use it. They
Maybe-
keep themselves wrapped up so they don't need sunblock.
Oh, that's true. Or maybe the worm thing that he's squeezing here into his mouth is dispensing sunblock, and that's why Boba wakes up immediately because he's like, "Wah, that's disgusting."
It's a smelling
Now,
salt.
speaking of worms, is that a worm coming out of his chest there?
Haha! Even more alien vibes. It's so rough making Boba Fett walk behind the Bantha after having rescued him next to the Sarlacc. I mean, obviously the Tuscans have a plan here for something to do with Boba Fett, but it seems weird that they'd rescue him and then basically drag him through the desert.
Hashtag digging for water.
Yep.
Yeah, I have to wonder if this is what they were doing with Shmi Skywalker too, back in Attack of the Clones.
Ooh.
I don't know, but all I know is Boba Fett is proven just right here that he's even walking how tough he is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
anybody else
Kaminoan
would be dead.
that Kaminoan clone DNA is strong, baby.
See double vision.
Yeah, he is in such bad shape. Although I find it interesting, we'll see during the credits in the concept art, the original idea was to have Boba Fett just wrapped in basically a sumo wrestler diaper and, no shirt. But here, at least they let Tim wear the flight suit, as it were.
Well, it does make sense that he would have something like this on underneath the armor. Got to prevent the chafing.
I thought it was supposed to represent the prisoner outfit.
Yeah, could be. Oh, Adam's talking trash in the chat here, saying Chuck Norris would eat Boba Fettini alive. And here we go, title card, The Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land. Older gentlemen on the podcast, or anyone listening out there, did you get that reference to that with that title, Stranger in a Strange Land?
So it's actually a reference to a sci-fi novel, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
That novel, in and of itself, referenced Exodus, the Book of Exodus.
That's right. And Robert Heinlein is the guy who wrote that. Here's a quick quote. "Man is so built that he cannot imagine his own death." Such a great idea to be behind the scene where Boba Fett refuses to die.
I don't know. Getting poked with his bantha stick is probably not pleasant, though.
It's not pleasant, but he's still awake. Even though those are kids bashing him with the sticks, while the chief just sort of sips his drink nearby.
Yeah,
Kevin, what is the
that
chief
still
drinking,
hurts.
Kevin?
What's that?
Well, I said, what is the chief drinking?
Tuscan gin.
Or is it Qui-Gon Jinn? Okay. Dead joke quota up by 1.
I mean, they did burn him. No, it was in Naboo they burned him because I would say otherwise he could have had his ashes and
So when my oldest son Matthew and I were watching this episode together, he was like, "The Tuscans know where to find a lot of wood for this to be a desert."
That
And I
is
was like,
absolutely true.
It's a good observation, son, because not only do they have a fire going, more than one fire, but they also have stakes to tie Boba and the pink Rhodian prisoner to.
That dude's a straight up snitch.
Yeah, he is. And I like Boba's
We'll get to that though.
typical Rhodians.
Boba's
Is that
instincts here. He keeps an eye on the dog.
Yeah, wait, is that a Tuscan Raider dog, or did Grogu go a big time transformation for Mandalorian season 3?
So I listened to the audio description on this scene, and they actually called it a mastiff.
Oh, massiff. If you watch with closed captioning, it's Massiff. Massiff.
Ah, okay.
He's so
Once again-
cuddly.
Once again, Liam Neeson invading Star Wars. Massive. But notice Boba Fett does not kill the animal here.
He just pets him.
Subdues him, and then puts him to good use. Such a great way
Nobody
to
has
escape.
noticed it.
And he's trying to help out the Pink Rhodian. But the Pink Rhodian will have
Rhodian.
none of it.
Don't trust him.
Now, this is interesting to me because we've always seen Boba Fett as a villain up until The Mandalorian. But here, he's definitely trying to help this Rhodian out. Now, as you said, the Rhodian is having none of it.
But you make a great point there, Nathan, and something I wanted to bring up real quick. We know that to show you have fallen to the dark side, you kill not just the men, but the women and the children of Tuscan Raiders. And Boba Fett specifically avoids killing that child, even though he had ample opportunity to kill that young Tuscan. So he still considers himself a crime lord for sure, but maybe not a villain. The dog thing here is going to get the better of him. But before it does, the chief calls it off. Nathan, what do you think about this new type of Tuscan here? My experience in Star Wars: The Old Republic makes me think the guy with the dreadlock-looking headgear is like a Tuscan shaman. Do you think that's kind of what he's supposed to be?
That certainly seems reasonable to me. I love the fact that we've got different types of Tuscans here, though. In the original movie, it really felt like there was just one dude who just kept changing spots for different scenes.
This guy is the whoop yo ass version right here.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he has that Maori inspired, or Morai, I can't pronounce it. Apologies to Tim Morrison. He has that tribal inspired weapon, the newer version of the gaffy stick / bantha toothbrush.
Well, okay, let me throw this out. That looks an awful like the stick he had in Mandalorian. Maybe he earns a stick at some point.
Ooh, good idea.
I don't know if it's that specific one, but I think we will see him earn a stick throughout the course of this series.
Yeah. Lee Fillings has just messaged the crew that Boba's not really a villain. He was just Han Solo's enemy at the time that we met him. And so, we shouldn't jump to too many conclusions about his disposition. Certainly, he doesn't have as much dark side energy as Anakin did when he was out in the desert with all the Tuscans, because like I said, he slaughtered them, and Boba has yet to kill any of them, even though they're beating the tar out of him.
Good guys, this tribe is a double for Anakin, because not only is the Tuscan Raider tribe, there's younglings in this tribe.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yes, and they even call them younglings.
Yeah. I am terrible. I'm going to go back to producing now.
Well, and Boba Fett is going back to the present now. He's no longer having his flashback.
Wait, guys, I have one last thing. Ming-Na Wen, she doesn't age. I want to know what magic she's using. What force magic is this, guys?
For real.
She's
I love
children.
I love that back to tank and how he can raise the water and lower the water or whatever the goo is. The back to goo.
Yep. Wasn't it Tamora Morrison did a hot tub commercial in New Zealand recently? So this has got to be just easy for him to jump in and out of the Bacta, right?
Oh, that's probably the new hot tub he advertised.
Was that a hot tub time machine then?
Oh man.
Oh, don't start crossing podcast streams there, Derek Marsh.
Oh wait, no, we got it, Kyle. That's Ming-Na Wen's secret. She stays so young because she has a hot tub time machine. Boom, mystery solved.
No, or she has a back to tank. That either one works. I mean,
yep. Kevin, were you seething with jealousy at this epic Mando armor suit up scene?
If the only person that has done it better is Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando.
Oh my gosh, that's exactly what I thought of when I saw this scene.
Great scene.
This is Commando and Operation Wolf. Derek, remember that old video game?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. No, what I was thinking of was Kevin wants those droids that actually help him put on the armor.
Oh God, that'd be helpful. The droid that's kind of introducing people is he the former torture droid?
Yes.
He is.
No, he is not.
He's not?
He is not. He has a different call sign.
Oh, you're right. This droid is 8D8, and that droid was...
No, that droid was 8D8. This droid is UK something.
Different facial features, too. Different head.
According to the closed captioning, this droid is 8D8.
Oh, well, in that case, my mistake. I thought they had a different name for him in the credits.
Well, the closed captioning guy could have typed the wrong droid designation. I mean, anybody else thrown off by a Trandoshan speaking basic? I feel like this is one of the first times we've ever seen that.
It is, because Bosk in Empire Strikes Back says "Res Luke Ralph," which is not basic.
The Trandoshan compliment is a great line.
Yep.
But I noticed that Trandoshan was carrying a Wookiee pelt.
Yep. The
He
mayor's
just
major domo.
this guy just feels slimy. I'm just saying.
He really does. Yes.
He's the servant of a Tatooine politician. He can't be anything other than slimy, right?
But this is David Pasecki, who has been in quite a few things as a kind of a character actor. So he felt very familiar.
Known to people as his part as Andrew Meyer in Veep.
Ah. And he pretty much stands here and tells Boba Fett, "We don't respect you at all. The mayor didn't even show up. And instead of bringing you money, I'm going to ask you to give me gifts."
The question is, who is the mayor?
Who is the mayor? That is a great question. Oh, another tidbit from Lee, and he's correct. He points out that Trandoshans in the Clone Wars series did speak Basic.
That's true. Yes.
So perhaps Bosk is the outlier and not the standard.
Although, if I recall correctly, even Bosk has spoken Basic in the Clone Wars. They just choose not to oftentimes.
Gotcha. So, Derek, you're more of the anime authority, and Kyle, you as well. Were you impressed to see that Boba Fett's official title from the Trandoshan is Daimyo?
Well, we've already got that, though, too, from The Mandalorian Season 2 for the episode where they go there, don't they? Where she's considered the, what term did they use again? I have to look that up now.
I just thought it was interesting that at one point the Aqualish is referred to as a Don, which is like the Mafia, and then here the Trandoshan refers to Boba Fett as a Daimyo, which is like the Yakuza, basically. So all kinds of crime lord traditions.
Yeah, it's a family name.
According to the internet, the Trandoshan was Robert Rodriguez's cameo.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I don't know if y'all noticed the Twi'lek there said to expect another delegation soon. I think we're going to come back to that in this very episode.
That's right. They refer to as the magistrate in that episode. So, yeah. Daimyo is expected.
And so these are two
Gamorrean
guards that worked for Jabba and Bib.
That were not eaten by the Rancor.
That's right.
They're kind of halfway in between the ones that we saw in Return of the Jedi and the ones that we saw in The Mandalorian in terms of sheer girth.
Well, that's because Bib was eating everything.
He had to project strength, Derek. Strength of appetite.
And obviously they didn't miss leg day.
No, they
did not. So here
there was a
shot of Mos Espa.
Yeah, a lot of debate online and even amongst us on the trailer about what city this would be. Turns out it's Mos Espa. It's grown a lot between the Phantom Menace and now.
So I wonder if we'll get an appearance by Watto.
Oh, wow, that'd be wild. Or as Dave Filoni calls him, Watu.
I would like to see at least some pod racing or a reference to it.
You think they still do pod racing by this point?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it's gambling, so yes.
Yeah, speaking of gambling.
All right.
Do we Max Rebo?
Is that Max Rebo or is it just another Otolia?
No, it's got to be Max Rebo.
Okay. Speaking of cameos, I love the one about to pop up here as Boba Fett takes off his helmet and looks around.
He may not be just a cameo.
Rex. Oh, no. I wasn't meaning Jessica. I meant DJ Rex, the droid that is previously a pilot on Star Tours, but now he's dealing cards at this facility.
I have trivia on that musical instrument later.
Sweet.
On which musical instrument are you talking about there?
Okay.
The one that the Bith was playing.
Yeah, guys.
Oh, okay.
Here in a minute, the band really should have changed to a different song. If you get what I'm feeling there.
Were you hoping for them to be more of a maniac?
Exactly.
I like Boba Fett dishes Fennec Shan's advice back to her when she doesn't want her helmet cleaned.
Yeah.
Accept their ways and things will go a lot smoother.
I'm pretty sure he knew what cleaning the helmet meant.
Yeah.
Probably.
Jennifer Beals looking good as a Twilight. Just saying.
Oh, so
Yeah,
great.
absolutely.
So great. I know I'm supposed to be riding herd and keeping us on task, but you guys are just going to have to take over while I stare at her.
I think we're all
So
staring at the moment.
Even here on Tatooine, we treat Gamorreans like pigs, offering to hose them down and feed them.
Uh,
Do you think our casino is called Flashdance?
Heyo.
It is now, if it wasn't before. We're changing
Well,
the
now,
name.
when she says "Welcome to our sanctuary," I think sanctuary is the name of the joint.
Oh, that's a missed opportunity then.
It is.
It
really
is interesting to see in the background here. We have a male Twi'lek acting as a
Servant. We're going to go with servant.
servant. Yeah, that's what we're going to go with.
Well, I don't think they're supposed to be servants. I think they're supposed to be eye candy. Because I don't think a Twi'lek owned place would have Twi'leks as slaves, or servants. So I think they're eye candy. So they have male and female.
I thought we were
dancers.
just using servant as a euphemism for eye candy.
They're paid professionals, Nathan.
That's it.
Yes.
I like
the
that when-
dialogue. This is the dialogue we heard during the trailer, which is interesting.
I like that when Bubba looked in his helmet and it was full of money, those were specifically Republic credits. They had the little Republic symbol on them and everything. And here comes trouble with the
Here
assassins.
comes the
jumping in.
ninjas.
Yep.
I was calling them parkour experts.
Oh, they definitely are parkour experts.
I
Now,
love Boba Fett fires the rocket, but then he unintentionally knocks himself and Fennec Shan down as the rocket ricochets around those red shields.
Now, who do we think sent these guys? I have my own theories, but I'd like to hear what y'all think.
I think this is the mayor. I think this is this is the contingent that was planned another visit.
That's what
Yeah,
I think.
I think
well.
that's right. I think it's the mayor as well. And
Glad
I
we
have to
got-
say, when I got to this part, I was confused as to why Boba didn't just pull out that blaster and start shooting them.
Or the
But then
flamethrower.
I figured it out later. He wanted to capture at least one of them alive.
All right, we got the big boys coming in.
Yep,
Gamorrean
already
Thinks that
paying-
the
the Dudley
Jabba's
boys.
blades look a lot like something that Worf would carry.
For real, I was
Yes,
just going to ask
they're
you, Kevin,
mechas.
since you're a big Star Trek guy. Those are mechleths or mechlas?
Yeah.
but already paying dividends on not killing those Gamorreans.
Yep.
Now we see, just because Boba Fett's not a bad guy, doesn't mean he can't be ruthless.
But Boba Fett is the Stone Cold Steve Austin of the Star Wars universe. He does what he
Just
needs
heard
to
the
do.
Wilhelm scream.
Uh-huh. Yep. One of the
I
assassins.
thought it was the Wreck-It Ralph syndrome.
But
Just
now
because
these
he's a bad guy
assassins-
doesn't mean he's a bad guy.
Right. Now, these assassins seem to know pretty well where Boba Fett's lingering injuries are from the Sarlacc because they had targeted him immediately. But he's not taking it lying down. He's going to missile that guy into a smithereens.
50 bonus
Hey,
points.
What are you
I
talking
just
about?
feel bad
Scott?
for the whole-
He's laying down.
do you think the homeowner had Boba Fett insurance?
If you live in Mos
Whoa.
Espa, you have some sort of gangster insurance. Or at least you're paying protection money. I guarantee you that.
Now, I
Through
gotta
this
say, this is
contract,
some
his family's
amazing.
well owned.
Yeah, this is some really good parkour scenes here.
It is. But it screams out to me for a Book of Boba Fett video game where I get to control Fennec Shan as she slides and jumps across the Mos Espa rooftops.
A Lego Book of Boba Fett video game.
There
of course.
we go.
We were going to have a game that you probably could have done something like this. It was called Oh, I don't want to bring up Source Rex.
Hey, maybe you get to do this in Star Wars Hunters. We'll have to see if we can have my friend Manjani Oso on the podcast to talk about Hunters, because he's working on that game for the Nintendo Switch.
When does that due out?
Supposedly January. That's what he told me the last he updated about it on Facebook.
Well, I know what I'm getting myself for my birthday.
Well, I have good
There
news
you
and bad news, Nathan. Star Wars Hunters is free to play, but also, microtransactions.
Well-
Mobile. Plus the
Free
Switch.
is my favorite price for birthday presents.
Yeah.
So Gotta love Fennec here. She told to keep him alive. She didn't say how many of them that he.
That's
she
right.
had to
She's
keep
like, I
alive.
kept one alive. I followed your instructions. I kept one
Just
of them alive.
need one. Yep.
And the Gamorreans quickly throw Boba back into the tank. Once again, a parallel to Vader, because we know that between missions, Vader has to go back to the castle, and Vinay puts him back in the tank as he tries to keep it together. Which begs the question, since Boba Fett's having all these dreams while he's in his Bacta tank, does Vader have dreams too?
We'll find out in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Hey, by the way, do you guys think he has sand in his shoe?
He's got sand everywhere. He's got sand in places you don't want to talk about on YouTube.
At this point, he probably hates sand. He has realized that it's coarse, it's rough, irritating, gets everywhere.
Oh my gosh, the Vader
have an
parallels
Anakin meme?
continue.
So at this point, Boba Fett is chained up to the Rodian. I'm not sure if they did that because they're transporting them or just because they learned, don't let this Boba Fett guy go by himself.
Yeah, it's probably a buddy system kind of thing, like you said, Nathan. They don't want Boba Fett to be alone with the kid because he'll probably try to escape again, like he has a bunch of times at this point, I'm sure. I'm sure the makeup department had a lot of fun with that Rodian's outfit because the places where his suit is ripped up, you can see that they had to put on the pink Rodian skin.
Well, he's got those big, weird gloves on, too, for his fingers. Big suction tubes.
Yep. It has to be weird for a semi-aquatic species like Rodian to hang out in the desert. He must be miserable.
Oh, definitely. I really hope that this was shot on the volume so that the actors themselves weren't miserable.
Oh, yeah. I hope so, too. All right, guys, trivia time. The swoop gang that is robbing and ransacking this moisture farm, they peeked some graffiti on the hut. Does anybody recognize that symbol?
Justice League.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Is it related to Dengar?
It might be. I don't know it. That's why I was asking if any of you guys recognize that symbol.
I
But
didn't.
but
And here I thought you had the answer. No, I have no idea.
no, but whatever it is, the producers made sure that we saw it multiple times.
Yeah, and that made me feel like this was probably a new symbol and that these characters are going to be kind of the bad guys of this season, which torpedoes my whole I hope Kira shows up in the finale thing, but that's my new prediction.
Well, certainly we know that there is a swoop that is going to be important later in the season because we've seen the teaser on social media of the new young lady played by Sophie Williams, I believe, who is riding a swoop in some deserty town on Tatooine.
Was it Sophie Thatcher?
Sophie Thatcher.
Yes.
My bad.
Yep.
Thank you, Derek. And so here we see at least part of the plan of capturing or rescuing Boba Fett was to have him dig for these water pod plant things.
I'm trying to figure out how they just produce in the middle of a desert. That's kind of
Yeah, it's gonna be some weird biological process of like maybe some kind of a plant seed or
Like maybe like moisture farming?
I think we get our answer, or at least a potential possible answer here, when a certain creature shows up here in a few minutes. I think it's a biological byproduct of that creature that they somehow store water in these little pods for their own personal use.
Interesting.
Which would be why they would use slave labor to dig up these pods instead of digging them up themselves, so that what happens here in a minute doesn't happen to them.
Okay.
Hey, real quick, Kevin, I wanted to ask you because we've talked about this on one of our other podcasts with Star Trek using a similar thing to the volume. This just looks so much better than what they're doing on Star Trek right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better lit. That's why. Yeah, and it doesn't feel like you're inside something.
I just
We
had to
have-
bring that point out.
Boba Fett showing the kid, yeah, look, just because you're in charge here doesn't mean you're in charge here.
And then the kid just sort of rubs it in his face. Boba Fett's all thirsty, and the kid takes the pod and lets the dog drink before the prisoner.
Hey,
The master
Take
was
care-
like, yum, 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 yum.
take care of your animals properly. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that is what the child is doing, for sure. He's prioritizing his companion over his prisoner.
This kid is played by Wesley Kimmel.
Okay.
He was in WandaVision.
Oh,
Oh, was he one of
He
Wanda's
was the
kids?
commercial
or-
boy.
No, he's commercial boy.
Commercial boy. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why that Rhodian decided to sound the alarm.
Probably thought he was better off with the Raiders than being out in the wild with Boba.
well, I
Here's-
was going to say Stockholm Syndrome, but then I remembered Stockholm doesn't exist in Star Wars.
His flight suit is
Kessel syndrome.
reminiscent of Bosk's a little bit.
Yeah, and a little bit of Bo Sheck.
Yeah.
Boshek,
Dan's
one of my
about to make
favorite
a
Cantina
discovery.
aliens.
Scales?
Yes.
I would say his leg looks like the costume was coming off. It was ripped.
Now, when
Yeah.
I first watched this, I thought we were about to see the full-on crate dragon.
I
Me
thought
too.
that too. I thought that
Or
too.
baby crate. I thought we were going to see a baby
Yeah.
crate.
Baby crate. But instead of baby crate or full-on crate, or even instead of Shai Halud, because I got a little bit of a Dune vibe at first here, or Trimmers. But no, busting through and rearing its head in all of its vaguely stop-motion glory is the Kraken from Clash of the Titans. Oh, sorry. No, not the Kraken. My bad.
Kevin, there was never a decipher card for this thing.
Not yet.
Give it time. The Star Wars Players Committee is still making cards.
For
and
sure.
this would be an interesting creature.
It's a mini boss.
He hauls off and busts
And
the...
the Rhodian.
Yeah, I think
did
the
not make
Rhodian
it.
is dead at this point.
I do like his form of attack against Boba Fett here, though. Here, I'm just going to take my other two hands and rip your head off. But Boba Fett will have none of that. He expertly
Ooh.
uses the chain to tie up the thing's arms, and then after it gets distracted by the kid, Boba Fett's going to jump on its back and really turn this into a Western.
So this thing sort of looks like a centaur-esque creature to me. Almost intelligent, but not quite.
So it very much reminds me also, in addition to Ray Harryhausen's Kraken, it reminds me of the Martians, quote unquote, in John Carter of Mars, the
Yeah.
Barsoon.
Mhm.
Alien.
Yes, good point.
And Boba Fett's just strangling the life out of it because apparently that's how you kill enemies that are bigger than you on Tatooine. You wrap your chain that you have been enslaved with around their neck and you choke them.
Survival of the
Oh,
fittest.
Yeah, I didn't even catch that parallel to Leia.
So basically, these two scenes happen within minutes of each other.
Right? No, it's been longer than that, right? Because the ship has already blown up for Jabba there. The
Have some
sailboat.
trivia. The Rhodian is voiced by Sam Witwer.
Oh wow!
Oh wow, that makes the whole chains thing even better. The chains are the easy part. It's what goes on in here. That's the hard part.
And 88 is voiced by Matt Berry
Okay.
from IT Crowd and What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
Do we know who played this chief Tuscan Raider by any chance?
Xavier Jimenez is the Tuscan chief.
Because he does
Xavier
look
Jimenez.
legitimately. He does look legitimately badass. I'm just saying.
Shout
He
out
was-
to Joseph Hauser in the chat there for saying that the lizard creature gave him a Montero feel from Mortal Kombat, or also, of course, Goro from the
Ah,
original Mortal
yeah.
Kombat.
Good call out.
So the way these Tuscan Raiders are looking at this head and cheering tells me they've seen this thing before, and that's part of the reason why I think that the reason they have the captured people dig for the water is because of this thing.
So wait, I have a question for you guys. Up until the point where the chief hands Boba the water, did you feel like maybe the kid was saying, "I killed it, I killed it"?
I
There he
think he was. I absolutely think he was. And the chief realized, nah, that kid didn't do that. I know who did that.
All right, now we get the concept art, just like we did in Mandalorian season 1 and season 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
Directed
Shout
by
out
Robert
to-
Rodriguez.
Shout out to Robert Rodriguez, excellent directing, and of course Jon Favreau, beautiful writing duties as always, and Filoni helping out with the producing, and just the entire team over there at Lucasfilm. Kathleen Kennedy and Colin, of course, for being executive producers that know who to put in charge of Star Wars projects, because this was great. I love that DJ Rex is there in the concept art, dealing out. It's got to be what, like electronic sabacc, right, Kevin?
Something like that, yeah.
Or no, what was the other card game, Kevin? Pazak.
What was that from?
Is that right?
again?
Pazak? I think there was another card game called Pazak. I'll have to look this up. I figured you'd be our expert on card games.
I can't remember Pazak. What was that from?
That might be only in the Old Republic.
Okay.
Maybe, like, as always, it's like a precursor to Sabak. I love the concept art of the lizard creature, even looks more like Harryhausen's Kraken.
Yep.
Good call.
Yeah,
That one
Harryhausen.
actually looks like
Yeah.
Darth Maul in that.
He does. Yeah. Yeah, in the concept art, Tamora Morrison's Boba Fett has his shirt off much more often. Now,
I wonder how much
Derek,
some of these concept arts would go for if they were ever made for sale.
Derek, did you check out that
Oh,
last one where we
way too
saw
much.
the protocol droid head leaning next to the throne? Like, what happened to that idea?
Joseph Hauser has a question, guys. I don't know if you can see this or not. He was
okay.
asking if the healing pod was a nod to the scene where Luke was in the healing pod in Empire Strikes Back.
At a minimum, it is Bacta. They do refer to it as Bacta.
Yeah.
Which
he said he
shout
back
out
to the
Luke is
Bacta.
in.
Shout out to my buddy Joseph Hauser and his wife and Crystal. How you guys doing? Good to see you.
Awesome. I like that earlier in the chat, Joseph told you that he would text you later because he forgot you were on the podcast.
For some reason, he was the first one. I was the first one he tagged when he put a meme saying no spoilers. I don't know what he meant by that.
What? You? Spoilers? No way. Good times.
Well, he knows you were up at 2 a.m. your time to watch it. So
Oh, my God.
Absolutely. He knows me well.
before you go off to work.
All right. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not champing at the bit to watch the rest of the credits. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the Disney Plus stream. And then I believe we are going to take a short break for a cool FPNet promo. And then we're going to come back and sort of do our first reactions / post-mortem for Chapter 1 of the Book of Boba Fett, Stranger in a Strange Land.
Thank you for listening. We hope you're enjoying this podcast. We'd like to continue to feed your ears by inviting you to listen to these other great shows on the Fandom Podcast Network. It starts with our flagship show, Culture Clash, discussing the latest in entertainment pop culture. Bloody Kings, Immortals Take Notice, our show covering the entire Highlander universe. Couch Potato Theaters, where we celebrate our favorite movies. Time Warp, the Fandom Flashback podcast discussing a year in movies and our favorite retro movie and TV pop culture topics. Good Evening, discussing all things Alfred Hitchcock. Union Federation, our Star Trek and Orville show. Hair Metal, the 80s and early 90s rock metal podcast. Type 40, our show covering the time-traveling Doctor Who universe with host Dan Hadley. Lethal Mullet, an 80s and 90s action film podcast with host Adam P. O'Brien. Also check out the Lethal Mullet Network for more great podcasts. What a Piece of Junk, a Star Wars podcast with hosts Scott, Derek, and Nathan. Making Treks, a Star Trek podcast, a deep dive into the final frontier with host Mark Newbold and Adam P. O'Brien. And check out our newest shows, The Fandom Show, our monthly Fandom Podcast Network live YouTube exclusive show about the month's hottest topics in fandom, and the FPN True Believers MCU podcast, discussing the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the related Marvel television and streaming MCU universe, including the connections to the original Marvel comics. You can find the Fandom Podcast Network on several platforms. Please subscribe to the Fandom Podcast Network YouTube channel to receive notifications of new podcast episodes and live events. You can enjoy all of the Fandom Podcast Network audio podcasts on our master feed at fpnet.podbean.com. The Fandom Podcast Network is on all major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast and iTunes. You can find the Fandom Podcast Network on Facebook. You can email us at fandompodcastnetwork@gmail.com. You can also find the Fandom Podcast Network on Instagram at Fandom Podcast Network and on Twitter at FanPod Network. Thank you for listening, and remember, respect others and enjoy your fandom.
Well, rock on. That is a really cool selection of podcasts, and we hope that all of you guys out there listening to us right now will check out some or even all of the other shows here on the Fandom
Such
Podcast
a soothing
Network.
voiceover, too. It was just, oh, man.
I know. It's something
We
different.
should get him
on here.
Wait. Don't you guys think my impression of Kevin is absolutely spot on?
It's
Perfect.
amazing. I thought it was him.
I thought it was him, too. I think
Guys, I wanna
even
give a-
he thought it was him.
I got to give a shout out to in the chat, David Lozano, our good friend from the Marvel Stuff podcast group Dave. He's a great guy. He's a huge
And Star Wars
fan
as well, Star Wars
Yeah.
stuff.
So glad he could join us. We're glad to have you here.
Outstanding. Yes. Thanks for joining us, David, and everybody else out there. Okay, guys. Well, we're just going to go around the horn here for our first reactions. Kevin, you're the biggest Mando nerd that we have. So, what were your thoughts about Chapter 1 of Book of Boba Fett?
I'm glad they answered everyone's questions for years.
Decades
right
even.
up front. It's, we got a little bit different story in the Legends, with some help from a fellow bounty hunter. And it was just great to finally get that. I'm not saying get it and done out of the way, but I'm glad we got it in the first episode, because then now they can really, really get to business. But it was very important that we got that. Didn't have to spend too much time on it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the feel. I enjoyed the look. I enjoyed some of the humor in there as well. I'm excited.
Awesome. Nathan, what were your initial thoughts of Chapter 1?
Well, I've got my spatula with me. I'm ready to talk about the Book of Boba Fett. And I really enjoyed the fact that we got to see a little bit of how Boba Fett survived the Sarlacc and what happened to him after that, between that moment and The Mandalorian, as well as some of what happened after The Mandalorian. So I actually liked the fact that we got to see two different time periods. And I thought it was a creative way to let us see those time periods. Not, just this is what happened, but this is Boba Fett remembering what happened. So I love those fade in and fade out, where it gets kind of fuzzy, and we know, okay, now we're going back to him waking up in the Bacta tank.
Right. Kyle, what were your thoughts about Chapter 1 there?
Okay, I get to be the bad guy of the show. I liked the episode, but I did feel like we were going through a little bit of check by numbers, and like we were trying to hit check boxes out of the way of Boba Fett things. I did a little experiment. I watched this and I rewatched Mandalorian's first episode, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you and say I think that while this is a very good episode and I enjoyed it, and I think it's going to get better because they've kind of freed up a lot of the backstory they needed to clear up on Boba Fett. I felt this episode was kind of weighed down, where Mandalorian was really free to have a lot of energy and see a lot of new things and a lot of excitement. So while I loved it, it wasn't quite on that Mandalorian level for me, but I do think the show is going to greatly improve now that they've kind of gotten past some of the early history of Boba Fett that they needed to clear up and now move forward to, because I want to see more of the here and the now than I do the flashbacks.
Yeah, I'm going to sort of jump in with Kyle here, and Derek, we'll let you clean up. I sort of agree with Kyle that we were hitting a lot of tick boxes that we had to hit, because we knew that fans out there, like Kevin was saying, had questions for decades about where Boba Fett was. How did he survive the Sarlacc? What's he been doing in the in-between time? How does the stuff that we learned about Boba Fett in the prequels affect the classic Boba Fett that we all knew and loved from Empire and Jedi, Return of the Jedi? And this episode touched on all of those things. And it was almost trying to do too many things in one opening chapter. Now, on the other hand, it doesn't have as many pieces to work with as the first season of The Mandalorian? Because I think we only have 8 chapters of Book of Boba Fett, right?
Seven.
Or did we only
Actually, 7.
7? Okay. And the other thing that I felt, guys, I don't want to jinx it or anything, but at the beginning, when we had a good, I don't know, it was close to 15 minutes of no English or any language that I could understand spoken. It started to give me some Star Wars Holiday Special vibes, where we go to Kashyyyk and it's just Chewie and his family, or Chewie's family, talking to each other in Wookiees, and we're just like, or Sherwook, sorry, and we're just like, I have no idea what's happening. There were several parts where I was like, can we get at least some subtitles, or maybe some kind of voiceover from Boba Fett's inner monologue? I don't know, something. It picked up a little bit for me. I didn't hate it by any means. I've already watched it twice and 3 times now with you guys, and I'll watch it again. But I agree with Kyle. It wasn't as much of a, oh my gosh, mind blown as chapter 1 of season 1 of The Mandalorian. But then maybe, Kyle, you were onto something when you talked about how it had a lot of ground that it was almost having to forced to cover because of the pre-set luggage or baggage that came with Boba Fett as a character. Whereas Din Djarin and all those characters, gosh, there was hardly any kind of pre-story. They had carte blanche to sort of do what they wanted. And maybe that was more freeing for the storytellers, you know. Well, anyway, Derek, what were your thoughts?
Actually, they echo both of that, because really, I thought I liked everything I watched. It was a fun episode. I'm excited to see what's coming next, but I just think it was just trying to do too much in different time periods. Me personally, when we and I guess maybe I psyched myself up to this when we were talking about expectations and what we thought maybe the Book of Boba Fett was going to be about. I thought it was going to be about chapters in his life. I mean, again, here we go, chapter 1, right? Mm-hmm. And it just jumped all over everywhere. It's like a Chuck Wendig book, right, Scott?
Yeah, it's non-linear storytelling, and sometimes that works, but sometimes it doesn't.
Ouch! Shots fired, dude.
But that's what it was, though. To me, he was jumping between four different time periods in the first 2 minutes, where I was okay if that's all it would have been in the first 5 minutes, right? And that's it. And we would have gotten then all current timeline stuff. Because really, I think at the end of the day, the biggest thing that would have answered is, how did he get out of the Sarlacc? And they did that in the first 5 minutes. The other part where I Kyle alluded to it, and we've all would have questioned, like, okay, how did Boba Fett get that Tuscan staff? How did he the gaffy stick? How did he get to where he was? They could have answered that further along in the story, right? And diverged that, and actually maybe had it where it was some sentimental piece where he was using it to defend himself, right? And they would have had that, or maybe at the beginning of every episode was a 5-minute flashback of something, right? And to me, that just would have been better, because here I am, like you did everything real quick to tidy up everything. Then we're in the current world. Now I got to go back to it to end it. But to me, I'm just, okay, well, what happened to the whole, and I guess we're going to get that in chapter 2, right? But again, it wasn't something where I felt, like I said, where the, echoing what you guys, Kyle and Scott said, where just trying to do too much and didn't like the pace of it or the way it was flowing as a story. But again, super excited. So.
Yeah, I totally agree with David Lozano in the chat here. I was able to really lower my expectations for a while. Then, an hour away, I was like, I want to see everyone and everything. And I was pleased that we got to see Jessica Biel's Twi'lek in the first episode. I kind of thought we were going to have to wait until at least chapter 2 or 3 to see her particular character.
Jennifer Biel?
Yeah, Nathan. Yeah, sorry. Nathan, were you surprised to see Jennifer's Twi'lek in the first episode?
I was surprised to see just how much of what we have seen we've already seen in the episode. So that shot of the city that we weren't sure what was, we thought maybe they were going to go to Ord Mantell or something like that. Nope, right up here, right up front, it's Mos Espa. So a lot of the scenes, like Kevin mentioned, the Jabba ruled with fear and I want to rule with respect scene. We got that right here in the first episode. So I don't know what we know at this point. I don't know that we've seen much from any of the future episodes, which
there was an article.
Really exciting.
There was an interview with, I think, Robert Rodriguez, or was it Dave Filoni, saying that when they were deciding what to release in the trailers. It was very difficult because they only released stuff from the beginning of an episode or two because there was so much they didn't want to spoil. So that's
Ooh.
why.
That's cool. That's good to
so
hear.
I think we've got a lot of story left to tell in the next
Correct.
6 episodes.
And that's what we want. So
Hey guys, can we take a minute and talk about the new power couple that's taking over Star Wars right now?
Good times. Good times.
I mean, come on. I don't want to mess with these two in a back alley. They scare me.
I agree. Those 2 Gamorreans are definitely the new power couple of Star Wars, and I would not want to pick a fight with them.
Did you guys notice, though, that when Fett was introducing Fennec, he says Master Assassin?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's it's not like my associate or whatever. It's like, nah, this person gonna kill you. You mess with us.
better
Totally.
pay tribute.
It was a big time flex in front of Jennifer and her whole club there. I do also like.
I was
Go
gonna say,
ahead,
well, it sounds like, obviously he's making all the rounds, right? They talked about. So we're gonna get to see a lot of cool places that Jabba protected, right? And obviously we're probably gonna be visiting other cities other than Mos Espa. That might just literally be the only time we go in this episode to that city. We may not see it anymore. We might go to 6 new different cities every time an episode now.
I mean, we know that Jabba at least had ties to Mos Eisley. So that's another city that we can go to. I don't know how many different establishments there are on Tatooine or how many different cities or Mosses there are. But we'll probably get to see a lot of them.
Joseph Hauser. Go ahead, Nathan.
Go ahead. Oh, it'll be interesting to see if we actually do make it off of Tatooine at all in this series.
Yeah.
I
Joseph
don't think we
Hauser
will.
in the chat, he's asking, with regard to the most recent trailer, do y'all think that was Omega from the Bad Batch riding that blue swoop bike? I do not think that is her. I think the age range wouldn't be quite right. Although, we're talking about clones here, so who knows? Could be her, but I think that's a brand new character.
Han and Kira's daughter.
He could be Han and Kira's daughter. That is the right age range for if that. What happens in the Cape Closet on the Falcon doesn't always stay in the Cape Closet on the Falcon.
For all you viewers and listeners to this, I watched this whole chat go on for about a half an hour in the What a Piece of Junk group thread. It was quite entertaining. I've just got to I've got to say, one thing, guys, I want to ask.
Emails.
Yeah, I got a question I want to ask all of you guys, because I think it's very interesting how Boba is really trying to establish himself in a completely different way than Jabba. And and Fennec keeps like, no, you got to keep doing these old ways, and he keeps saying no. And I think that might end up being a very back and forth, maybe even butting heads situation between the two of them as the series goes along.
A big point of contention for sure, Kyle.
Yeah, I agree with her. You got to show strength, but Boba Fett's showing a new type of strength.
Well, and Fennec owes Boba Fett her life, so she can. He's giving her enough range to speak her mind, but at the end of the day, she owes the life debt. So she's basically the new Chewie.
Yeah, she's the mirror image, the mirror universe Chewie. Because if Boba Fett's like the mirror Han, then she's the mirror Chewie, which I think is great storytelling. And you can tell that Favreau was leaning heavily on Dave Filoni when he was coming up with that concept, because that is a Dave Filoni idea all day, every day.
Yep.
Well, Kevin, what do you think about the two of them butting heads over this whole tradition versus revision?
Well, I think that it's important that they feed off each other and share each other's, skepticism or whatever. And I like the fact that Fennec has a very strategic kind of angle towards all of this. And I think it's important that she voices that. And what I like, though, is that Boba's letting her do that because he respects her. He respects her opinion. And I think that having kind of a little bit of friction there makes it for fun drama as well.
Yeah. Real quick about the mysterious young lady on the blue swoop bike in the trailer. My personal theory is that she's going to be a remake or refresh of Arden Lyn from Star Wars Masters of Teras Kasi, the old PlayStation fighting game. We've already had Teras Kasi, the Force-enabled martial art, reinstituted in canon because Kira mentions it in and uses it in Solo: A Star Wars Story. So it would make sense to bring in the dark side influenced master of that as a character at some point. And one
And
more
we got the
piece,
pit fighting too in season 2.
the
of
pit
Mando.
fighting in season 2 of The Mandalorian, where you could use Teras Kasi to get the edge. And one more piece to support my idea. It appears that young lady on the blue swoop bike has a cybernetic arm. Her left arm in the trailer is it's vaguely robotic. And Arden Lyn, the master of Teras Kasi, also had a cyborg arm in the old video game. But as David Lozano says in chat, odds are high that she could just be a brand new character, not some sort of redo or rehash.
Now, if it is Lynn, then I think that scene may be mirrored because it's the other arm in the video game. But it's entirely possible that it's just a mirrored image, and that is actually her other arm that's mechanical.
There were a couple of scenes mirrored in some of the trailers that I saw online because there was this weird artifact of Boba Fett launching whistling birds from his other arm in one of the trailers. It was all correct in tonight's episode, but there was a trailer I saw where he was firing them out of his right arm, which his right arm is the flamethrower. His left arm is whistling birds. It was really messing with my
Left arm is flamethrower. If you watch the book of Boba Fett, I'm sorry, the history of Boba Fett, they mention his left arm has the flamethrower.
Yeah, you're right. I said the wrong names, Kevin. You're right. But they had him shooting out of the wrong hand in one of the trailers.
You yourself were mirrored there.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. Anyway, but you guys get what I'm saying. I think you're right, Nathan. Some parts of the trailers had been flipped digitally, so maybe our new girl does have a right arm that is cybernetic, even though to us it looked like her left one was.
Time will tell.
It will. I look forward to meeting her, and if she's Arden Lyn reborn, great. If she's a brand new Star Wars character, cool. I'm a fan of new Star Wars characters.
Very much.
But I also agree with David in the chat here where he says that part of the reason that Boba is different about the whole I want to rule with respect and not fear is that Boba has a new outlook on life after he has survived the Sarlacc. And who knows what kind of more honorable pursuits he is now in search of after his time with the Tuscan Raiders.
Exactly. That was a great point you brought up, and I wanted to expand on that. Showing respect to the kid, not striking back at him, and letting him take credit for the kill of the monster and all that kind of stuff. And I think that he realizes how important the Tuscan Raiders are to Tatooine and survival. And obviously, we see some of that with the Mandalorian, how he uses their weapons, and he's probably spent quite a bit of time with them.
And to be fair, we don't know how long he actually was in the Sarlacc. He could have been sitting in there for 2 or 3 years before he actually got out.
Yeah,
Just
although
unconscious that whole time.
with his
I don't
gasping
think
for
it's long that long. Yeah.
with his gasping for air and his taking the air supply from the stormtrooper, I feel like it was just a few minutes later. Because wasn't the wreckage of the sail barge
true. It's kinda
still
out
kind
there.
of smoldering out there?
Yeah.
And it was definitely still there, which, let's be honest, Jawas inhabit this planet. It'd be gone in a couple of days.
Yeah.
That's true.
My guess is going to be probably several hours.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking as well. Enough time for the fires to die down, but not enough time for the smoldering to stop.
Right. Well, Derek gets bonus points because on our last-minute predictions show, he talked about wanting the scene of Boba Fett's hand busting up out of the desert, and so that definitely happened. Do I get points for saying Daniel Logan would be in the show because we saw that part?
Technically,
I
he
think
was.
so. Yes. Technically, he was in the show.
Since we're talking about that scene, I was disappointed that we didn't see a few other people down there in the gullet of the
No base
Sarlacc
window?
pit. No, I'm talking about certain skiff guards. Maybe would have been really cool.
Yeah, Kevin, is there one particular skiff guard that you wanted to see what happened to him?
Yeah, I wanted to see Velkin Tazeri down there because technically he was like one of the first skiff guards to get swiped by a lightsaber and pushed into the Sarlacc. And Velkin Tazeri is an anagram of my name. And when I was working for Decipher as a play tester, before I actually got hired by them, we were playtesting the Jabba's Palace playset, card set, and they needed to name all of these aliens. And there was a bunch of us that got our names turned around as anagrams. And Velkin Tazeri and Jerry Darcy, one of the lead game designers, when I met him and I got hired at the office, and I went up to him and said, "Really, Velkin Tazeri, first one in the Sarlacc pit, bro?" He started laughing. It was very funny.
David in the chat says that one of his friends said that he was able to see Jango Fett on Camino. So I guess maybe as we pulled back, from the landing platform where Slave One was docked, you could have made out Jango Fett. I'll have to go back and watch it and look for Jango Fett.
Well, we definitely saw his head.
Yes. Oh my gosh,
right.
you guys! I saw a terrible meme earlier this week. Speaking of Boba Fett happening, it had juxtaposed the two shots from Attack of the Clones, where in the arena, 3PO is talking about losing his head when he's, attached to the battle droid body. And just a few feet away, there's Boba Fett holding his dad's empty helmet. Jeez, 3PO.
Guys, I'm just going to throw this out there. I just had a whole thought about shining the helmet and you bringing the Jango Fett helmet after that event to get shined up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's just wrong. I know.
Joseph Hauser in the chat points out that Boba Fett was basically doing Drax the Destroyer work from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where he fought his way out of inside the big mouth monster. Or maybe, if you want to lean on the Dark Horse comics from the 1990s, Drax was inspired by Boba Fett's escape from the Sarlacc when he cut his way out of the inside of the beast. It's art imitates life, imitate art. Right?
Yes.
Isn't that how it goes?
If you guys, if also too, the movie Meg that came out about the super shark, if you read the book, if you read the book, that's how the hero actually survives and is able to get out of the shark, because he gets swallowed and he's able to do the same thing.
But that makes no sense. It's the same thickness from the inside as it is the outside.
I'm sorry, my brain shut down when Kevin explained that there was a book for the Meg.
Yes.
Well, the Meg was actually based off the book. The movie was based off the book. So.
The book is a lot better, by the way.
Yeah, the book is infinitely better.
How could it not be? I mean, good times.
I mean, come on. I mean, Scott, they made a book about dinosaurs, right? And we've gotten 5/6 movies out of that so far.
Yeah.
I've got some trivia for you guys if you want to hear it regarding this episode.
Absolutely.
And this trivia isn't on IMDb, by the way. So, first of all, FYI, if you wait and actually watch the credits all the way before they start getting into the foreign language credits, it says Cantina Latina in quotation marks, which is the music that you hear when they go into that cantina. Is written by John Williams, but it's performed and produced by Robert Rodriguez and Mark Del Castillo. And if you guys don't know this already, Robert Rodriguez is an accomplished musician and has been in bands, and he composes a lot of his own music in a lot of the movies that he does, especially in El Mariachi and Desperado. And he's a really good musician. And that space guitar that you see the Bith musician is actually a real playing guitar, and you can actually purchase one, and it's called the Gittler, Gittler guitar classic model. And if you Google it, it is the exact same guitar that character is playing, and that was played by Robert Rodriguez.
Wow.
Well, he did do that on the behind the scenes Mandalorian season 2. We got to see him playing the guitar there. And so was Tamara Morrison.
Not this guitar though, but I did put a link in the chat if you guys want to see what I'm talking about there. Sorry.
I just want to Joseph Hauser from the chat just has a very important question I feel we must answer right away.
The book have a pop-up and coloring section?
The book for the Meg?
for the book of Boba.
Boba Fett.
If it's the book of Boba Fett, There is a coloring section, but it happened in The Mandalorian. He does repaint his armor there.
You only get 2 colors.
Green and red, yeah.
Green and red. Yeah.
I got 2 more trivia for you guys. 2 more. And this one actually comes from Lee Fillingsness, my co-host of the Bloody Kings Highlander podcast, who is a stuntman, actor, martial artist, knows his weapons. Tamora Morrison, what country is he from?
Australia?
New Zealand.
New Zealand.
And he pointed out, and I thought this was great, that the weapons that the assassins are using are pretty much versions. And I'm going to guess that Tamora Morrison had maybe some input in these weapons. They are from the, I might mispronounce this incorrectly, the Taiaha tribe out of New Zealand, the Maori of New Zealand, a close quarter staff weapon made from either wood or whalebone and used for short, sharp strikes and stabbing thrust with efficient footwork on part of the wielder. And then he also said the shield in that position is also a Pacific Islander style.
Ooh, that's awesome.
And one last thing, the Tuscan Warrior is played by famous female stunt woman Joanna Bennett, who has doubled for Gal Gadot in Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Brie Larson in Captain Marvel. She did Aquaman stunts, Justice League. Very, very good at what she does. She was the female warrior that opened up a can of whoop on Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Guys, just real quick, we're going to David Lozano for any Robert Rodriguez music because Robert Rodriguez does play random gigs around Texas. I actually live close to him. Had a coworker that played drums with him on guitar at a random gig. So yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
David, I'm going to ask for pics or it didn't happen.
And that would be either photographs or guitar picks if you happen to catch
Yeah, there
it.
you go. That's awesome though, dude. That's really cool.
That's amazing. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, guys, I've had a wonderful time journeying off to the galaxy far, far away with y'all this evening. And if you're listening to this podcast after the fact, we hope that everything synced up properly for you and that you had a good time listening to our take about Chapter 1 of the book of Boba Fett. But before we go, Nathan, would you please grab the cue card there and let folks know where they can find the show out there on the old interwebs?
Absolutely. There's several places that you can find us. You can find us on fpnet.podbean.com. That is the master feed for the Fandom Podcast Network. You can also find the Fandom Podcast Network at FPNet on the Podbean app. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play. Basically, anywhere you can get podcasts, you can find us. You can also find us on Facebook at What a Piece of Junk, a Star Wars podcast. And you can reach us by email at whatapieceofjunkpod@gmail.com or Twitter at WhatWars. Or you can reach the entire Fandom Podcast Network on Instagram at Fandom Podcast Network. We love for you to leave us some Apple Podcast reviews. And Derek, can you tell us a little bit more about those Apple Podcast reviews and why we love to get them?
So I was told that if we get nothing but 5 stars and average at least a 4.9 or higher, we can get our own Gamorrean guards.
Ooh.
That's what I heard too, right? Kyle?
So I need to make sure.
Kevin, we just did that luau. We had a lot of roast pork.
Dang it.
Did it include green sauce? So.
First you eat the porgs, now you're eating our guard. Jeez.
Ouch. Anyways, if you want to leave us some reviews, feedback, whatever, we'll take whatever you want to give us. We appreciate the listeners out there. But yes, 5 stars is what's going to help us continue to get on the top of the charts, get people to search for us more often and find us. And hopefully, we have some great guests and listeners that came and joined us today on the YouTube page. Hopefully we'll get some more next time when we get a chance to do this.
Outstanding. All right, cool. Well, Kyle, where can folks find you out there on social media if they want to talk to you between shows?
I have time between shows. What's that?
Well, I didn't say that you had time, just that they're going to try.
You can find me on Twitter at AKyleW or on Instagram at AKyleFandom. Of course, you can find me hosting several shows here around the Fandom Podcast Network, including our newest show, True Believers, our MCU podcast, where we just put out our Spider-Man No Way Home review, and we are going to be putting out next week our Marvel year in review and maybe some predictions of what we think might be coming in 2022, right, Kev?
That's right. It was a fun show. Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
And Kevin, where can folks find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Spartan_Phoenix. Of course, you can find me in the What a Piece of Junk Facebook group. And of course, check out the show that I mentioned with Lee, our Bloody Kings Highlander podcast. There's a lot of buzz coming up in this next year because Henry Cavill is going to be filming the reboot of the movie this coming year. We're very excited about that.
Awesome. Nathan, where can folks find you on social media?
Well, you can find me on Twitter or on Instagram at Gooey Chewy. That is GOOEYCHEWIE. I feel the need to spell it, even though it's on your screen. You can also find me on Facebook under my real name at Nathan Miracle.
Cool. Derek, where can folks find you?
You can find me on the Twitter at HoodieDM83, or as it shows right there, if you're happy to watch the video. But also you can find me on Facebook. As you mentioned, I run the Facebook group, What a Piece of Junk, and you can obviously ask us questions there, and we'll try to answer them for you, or just some other feedback if you want to help us improve the show and what we can do to get listeners down the line to continue to listen to our great show. And Scott, where can the listeners find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at ScotticusMax, as it says here on the screen. Oh, sorry. Here on the there we go. Here on the screen. And also you can find me on Facebook under my real name, Scott Botman. And I do write my own science fiction novels, and my author website is writegreatscott.com. And we want to thank everybody for joining us. And as always, thank you for listening. Please reach out to us between shows and tell us what we can do to make it better, what you loved, what you hated, etc. But always remember to respect each other, and please respect each other's fandom. All right, Kyle, punch it.